Hey y'all, it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. Picture this. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app when you spot it. A brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's room of choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
What else can you do to improve your content writing? Stay tuned and find out.
Welcome.
Okay, here's the question.
Serious?
How are we dark horses? You know, the ones everyone is betting against, the ones they don't expect to win, place, or even show on the track, and they'll even laugh on us when we talk about trying. How do we show the world our greatness and triumph?
Come on.
Well, that's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers.
Let's go.
This is The Dark Horse Entrepreneur. My name is Tracy Brinkman.
And push it up.
What is up? What is up, my Dark Horse friends and family? Welcome back to your daily dose of writing awesome content learning. I'm your Dark Horse host, Tracy Brinkman, and you, well, as you know, that's infinitely more important. You are a driven entrepreneur or one in the making. Either way, you're here because you're ready to start, restart, kickstart, or just start leveling up with some great marketing, personal, or business tips and results in order to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. And that's why I'm here hitting you with another daily success episode coming to you straight from the Dark Horse HQ as we dive deep into success with some actionable advice, tips, and steps designed to help you level up your game, because as we already know, there are no shortcuts to success except for taking those little steps towards your goal every single day. And hey, one of those steps you take towards your goal every single day, it should be checking out these episodes that I bring you, and hopefully you're finding value in them. And if you are, take some time, if you would, go down there and mash that subscribe button. While you're there, drop us a 5-star rating and leave us some kind words in the review. I definitely appreciate that. Those subscribes, ratings, and reviews, as we get them, raise us up a little bit in the podcast platform rankings, helping us get exposed to more driven entrepreneurs just like yourself. So if you're getting value, take a moment, show the love, and help spread the word. I definitely appreciate you, brother. Thanks. So, as you know, if you've been listening this week, we have spent the entire week talking about writing good content, how you're writing, some writing tips. And I want to finish off the week with a few more tips on writing and your environment around writing and some tactics around writing. Let's just dive right into it, shall we? Well, I think one of the things that used to get me a lot, and I know I mentioned one of the tips yesterday in outlining, and part of that outlining is to choose your point of view. I'll say wisely, but I don't know if it's actually wisely. It's like, just choose your point of view, right? You have a point of view, share it, right? But I guess more so in the point of view, it's like, obviously, share your view of things. But when you're sharing it from a point of view is where I'm going at. Let me rephrase this. Are you going to share that point of view from the first person or from the second person? I quite often like to choose the first person, telling stories or sharing stories from another person's point of view, if that makes sense. So I'm sharing my point of view through a point of view. Okay? All right. All right. I think the next piece is keep it short, right? And I know I have a tendency to babble on sometimes, but when I say keep it short, I'm talking about when you're writing, keep it in those nice short paragraphs, short sentences. Short sentences tend not to confuse. And short paragraphs are easier to digest and help clear, I think, the reader's their reading space in their head, right? With that spacing and that assistance. They're going through and they're like, okay, that thought is done and I'm going on to the next one. That thought is done. I'm going on to the next one, right? And we've all seen authors that are good at this, and we've seen authors that just tend to drone and on and give you these things that tell you the same thing over and over again using different words and different descriptions. You get my point? Where you can just share it and move on. But inside of that, right, I know you're going to have your style. Find your style and your point of view and share your point of view from a chosen point of view, and then go with it, right? Because there are people that are going to resonate to your style, right? So if your style isn't quite short, choppy sentences and short paragraphs, they're a little longer, okay, that's cool. That's you, right? You know me, I'm always about be you, and you'll find the people that resonate. I'm just trying to share with you the tips that will help get your content across to your readers in a better, in a, I won't say in a more concise manner, but in another manner that will help you tell your story. And the next one is tell a story. Storytelling, ladies and gentlemen, is everything. We as humans, we love stories. From time on memoriam, I think history and lessons and, teachings have been shared via story. So I would always urge you to add in a storytelling element. On that note, let me share a little story. There was a speech I gave many, many moons ago when I worked at the Coca-Cola company, and I was trying to drive home a point. And the speech was given at Toastmasters, and I was supposed to be giving a dramatic speech that was supposed to drive home a message. And many of you know, if you've listened to more than one of my podcasts, I lost a daughter at the ripe old age of 18 months old. And so in this speech, I was probably the second or third speaker. And in a Toastmasters event, there's, it's like an hour and a half meeting. So being the second or third speaker is probably about halfway through the meeting. And the first thing I did after I was called up is I didn't use didn't get up there with my usual gusto and my usual verve. I walked up there very quietly, very silently, and I set a chair into the middle of the room. And I put a doll wrapped in a blanket on that, and next to that was my laptop opened up with a heartbeat monitor going across it. And I walked over and I turned down the lights. And in this room that we were in, I had really good control of the lights. And I put a center spotlight on that chair. And I went over and sat down and took that little doll up into my arms and began rocking it and talking to it. And then I reached over and I tapped the space bar on the laptop, and it started going deep, deep, like the heartbeat. Beep, 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 right? And so I began, talking to this doll, telling her, thank you for all the amazing things you have taught me and everything. And probably about 2 or 3 minutes in, the heart monitor goes beep. And I finished telling this baby in my arms what I needed to tell it. And then that was the end of the presentation of that part. And I stood up and I turned the lights back on, and I told everyone the importance of organ donation, because that's what my daughter died of. And so a couple of months later, someone came up to me after a different Toastmasters meeting and said, that dramatic speech that you did, and by the way, I won the dramatic speech contest that day, and that dramatic speech you did, I can't remember many of the things you said, but the power of the image that you put in that story always reminds me, and they showed their little driver's license, that why I'm an organ donor. So there are power in stories, ladies and gentlemen. So I would highly urge you to use stories to help drive home your points from whatever point of view you're sharing. And here's the thing, they don't have to be your stories. You can find a story that someone else has that helps really drive home a point that you have. And then you can tell their story. You just tell them, hey, here's a story I know about, and boom, boom, start going into it. Don't say this is my story, right? That would be lying. You don't want to do that and ruin your credibility. But certainly it doesn't have to be your story to share to drive home your point. Okay. I think let's drop you a couple of more here before I let you go for the week. If you're writing for like blogs and the written word, I'm a big fan of reading it out loud after you've written it. So spend your time writing it and then go back and read it out loud. There's something for me about hearing it out loud that you'll find, flow break points. You're like, oh, that doesn't sound right. If you're just kind of scanning it with your eyes, you've created it, and often you have spent so much time on it that your brain could optically just skip over something that's really simple that sounds a bit off. Whereas when you take the moment to maybe even print it out and then read it out loud, you're like, oh, well, here, let me modify that. That doesn't quite sound right. So that's a huge tip right there. And after you do that, then write some more, right? Read it out loud, then write some more. But I think the last one I want to leave you with is try this. You do your writing, you take some of the tips, 1 or 2 or 3 of the tips, and you put them in place. And you're like, okay, that's cool. And you print it out, stop right there. Go for a walk. Get away, step away from the screen, step away from the paper and pen, go get a cup of coffee, right? Just take your mind somewhere else for a few minutes, 10, 15, whatever, and then come back and re-look at it, right? So then come back after your walk, your coffee, your water, playing with the dogs, whatever it is, and then read it out loud. Now you might really catch something because you're almost coming at it with a fresh mind, right? And I won't say fresh perspective, but you'll probably find that break in your flow will help you ID some things that you might not have ID'd because, again, you've spent so much time in the trenches on this. Part of you is almost blind to some of these things, we'll call them mistakes, okay? And last but not least, to do all this amazing writing, you're going to need energy. Now, one of the tips I left earlier in the week is to find your peak energy time of the day. Is it early in the morning? Are you a early riser like me? Do you have a midday peak? Do you have a late day peak? Are you a night owl where all your creative flow and energy happens later in the day? That's when you want to be doing your writing, right? Don't force it in a different part of the day. And if you have something you need to get done, right, on a timeline, make sure you book the time at your peak time of the day, your peak energy time of the day, to work on it so that you're not trying to jam it all in at a time when you're not at your peak and your creativity won't flow quite as easily. All right, my Dark Horse friends and family, that wraps up what I hope you think is yet another awesome week coming at you here from the Dark Horse HQ. Again, I know you want to keep getting these daily success tips, and if you're getting any value out of them, and I hope you are, let me know, right? Go on down there, hit that subscribe button, leave us a 5-star rating, drop some kind words in the review. That's one way to let me know. Again, those subscribes, rating, and reviews help kick us up a little bit in the rankings so that we can reach more driven entrepreneurs like yourself. So again, if you're getting that value, let us know by doing that. Just take a moment, show the love, and help spread the word. And hey, come on over and tell me all about it in the Facebook group. Go to facebook.com, type in that search bar, Dark Horse Tribe. You should see us right there at the top. If for some reason that doesn't work for you, go to your favorite web browser, type in darkhorseschooling.com/Dark Horse Tribe, and that should take you right there. I look forward to meeting you in the group. All right, you get out there, you run your race, and you get your results. And come on to the Facebook group. Tell me all about them. Until next week, think successfully and take action.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
And you know this!
Thanks for tuning in.
Check us out at www.darkhorseschooling.com.
All right.
My name is Tracy Brinkman.